welcome back. It's your favorite emotional support comedian, where we make jokes so that we don't crash out. On today's episode, there's so much to unpack. There's so much going on. First of all, I have a little buddy on me. My little heart monitor has entered the chat, and she looks like, I called her a Tamagotchi, but the tech said that a lot of people call it like a frog, and I'm actually very impressed by this apparatus. Whoever designed this particular thing, I feel like it was a woman, because first of all, it's comfortable. And second of all, she's cute. Like, she has a little butterfly on her. But we are checking my heart for the week just to see, is the stress of the last 5 months causing my heart to palpitate, or is it something else? My cardiologist is convinced that the stress of the last 5 months of my life did in fact cause my body to be annoyed enough to cause palpitations and also some dizziness. So we're doing multiple tests. I have a stress test coming up next week or this week as well. And he's fairly confident that life just life too hard. And I've been telling you guys that. I literally told you guys the truth. So much so my body's like, girl, we need to settle down. I'm just so grateful for my walking pad and just the way that I chose to move through this time, because I genuinely feel like had I not been moving my body, the things that I have been experiencing would be worse. The other thing my cardiologist said, that I am just so impressed by how well he articulated these things. I thanked him profusely for the patience of sitting down with me and explaining these things, but he said something that stood out. He said that our brains are such a pivotal role in how the rest of our body feels. And so when we do have stress and we do have these things going on, our brains can actually create symptoms of things in our body that we're feeling the symptoms, and those symptoms are 100% real, but our brains can actually create impressions of things that we do not actually have. And I was just like sitting there on the edge of my seat, like kicking my little legs with the curiosity and just the intrigue of how this man explained so clearly how important mental health is to our bodies. And he just was so incredible. I didn't feel like I had to convince him, not the first time, but one of the top ones that comes to mind. My doctor is amazing, but I've experienced a lot of doctors, and I know you have too, because I put them in skits and y'all are like, same, oh my gosh, what is wrong with these doctors? There are a lot of doctors that I've experienced and you've experienced that gaslight us into thinking that what we're feeling is just all anxiety. And if that is his belief about what I've been experiencing, I don't know, because he never said it, and he genuinely was like, I want to make sure that everything's okay, and I will go on a hunt to see if we can find something wrong. But what's more important is, like, one, correct diagnosis, but two, like, your peace of mind. So like, we're gonna find out if there's anything. So my little buddy here is with me, my heart monitor. They call it a holster, but it's not a holster. But I definitely am looking for a good name. I told the girlies, the receptionist, that she's gonna come back with a backstory and a whole like thing, because I can't not characterize this entity. So that is what's going on. I am feeling physically better. I feel like I'm still processing the shrapnels of the last 5 months, but I have some new razzle dazzle to add in, which is what we're going to go over today, and that is this. So, as you know, I wrote this comedic memoir in the trenches of the last 5 months, and it's wild to me that that even happened. Like, I cannot even believe that in some of the worst suffering of my life, I sat down and wrote a comedic memoir that's actually funny and has just enough of the comedicness that you all love. That's not a word. That's fine. We're going to leave that. The comedicness that you love, but also with the backstory and very relatable stuff. Like, I'm learning that the truth is often the most funny. Also embarrassing. There's definitely some embarrassing things in there, and I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm telling you all in this memoir the stories that keep me up at night, that I can't sleep. You know those stories in your mind where your brain just brings forward the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you, and that is why you cannot go to sleep? That is what is in this memoir for me. As well as predators. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in my story. It is wild. It is wild. You know, I have the villain roster of the Olympics. I feel like I have the gold medal of the villains, have all I've met them all. But I've written this book, and this book has been not only am I so proud of it, but I'm so proud of me because, as you know here, there is not a pretty, polished, beautiful, guys, I made it, jazz hands. It is a lot of fighting the ghosts that have haunted me to get to this point, and part of the ghosts in my past have been people that did not believe in me and people that yucked my yum, essentially. Like, I had written this fantasy novel for my children 10 years ago. I actually saw a Facebook post that it was 10 years ago this week that I had written my first 30,000 words. And I was so proud of myself because I wrote this book because I wanted my kids to have stories that they could see themselves as the heroes and see themselves as powerful in the way that they saw things and move through the world. And so I was writing this for my children. I was so proud of it. And I worked so hard. And I didn't know anybody that had written a book at the time, but my friend group was horrible. Like, I look back now and I'm like, I survived. Like, I survived this group of people. That's all I can say about that. Some of them are in the memoir. Surprise, they're in there. I took $100 and I bound this book, okay? And I didn't have $100 at the time to do this, but I figured it out and I bound the book and I was so proud of it, and I wrapped it so nicely for them and I gave it to them and they never read it, and it was so heartbreaking for me. I was journaling yesterday. I started doing morning pages, was essentially you are just writing, you're just a stream of consciousness to kind of get your inner critic out, and then that's been so amazing. If you haven't done that, I was processing the fact that I have had heartbreak in this area of my life. So here I am, heartbroken by writing and wanting to feel validated in just my dreams and my creative process and my expression as a writer, because I've been a writer for 15 years. I don't talk like that, or I don't really say that, or I feel like I'm not I'm a writer, but am I a writer? I've been paid professionally to write for people as ghostwriters. I have written for people all over the world as ghostwriters. I used to do that in branding. I would write people's about pages for them because I'm really great at looking at someone, getting to know them, and then articulating things about them that they might not even see in themselves. And I feel like I'm a fairy godmother in that way, that I can see the magic in someone else and just bring the transformation and just be here, look, this is who you are. Isn't it pretty? And it was very fulfilling and wonderful for my clients to be able to see the beauty in themselves, even when they felt am I really that cool? And I'm no, you are super cool. So I wrote and got rejected, and I sent it to 11 agents, and 9 of them I never even heard from. And at the time, I didn't have enough emotional capacity to understand that when you have a dream and you have something that's really important to you, the pathway is not beautiful black asphalt. You know that asphalt that is it's so satisfyingly smooth, they just laid it down. It's the asphalt that roller skaters would just love to be on. You know what I'm talking about? That is not the path. No, let me tell you what the path is. It is filled with every version of your inner child that felt unloved, unworthy, unwanted, and every version of your teenager self that never got a text back from that boyfriend or that boy that you liked, never got, the job, your little dream job at the ice cream shop, that rejection from the teacher, and then every version of your adult self that sat there and watched every other person live their dreams, whether it was getting married or going on that trip or getting that promotion or buying a house. Every version of you is sitting on that road to your dream. And that is the absolute truth. And you cannot bypass this. If you have something that you want to do, please understand that your pathway is lined with the grief of your past, whether it is processed or unprocessed. I did not know any of this. Did not know at the time in my late 20s. I did not realize that I was going to have to sit in the pain of the rejection that I never dealt with. And it's not a rejection in terms of oh my gosh, you have all this past trauma of rejection, which I do, spoiler. But it's more so the rejection of other people not validating what you know to be true about yourself. There's this weird grief, and it's sticky and slimy and I don't know, like a gargoyle of a collection of pain from those things. And so now showing up to this version of me, that brings me to today. I have sent my book to 21 agents and my goal is 40, but I think it's going to be more than that. So today I got the unexpected disappointment of 3 of those agents rejecting this book. And let me tell you, suddenly I was on the path again with the other version of me that had experienced this. And this is one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to get to this point, is because it was so painful in the past that I didn't have the courage to show up again. It's kind of like if you've been looking for your person and you've been broken up with so many times and cheated on and all those things, you are hesitant to get back out there. And that's really what it felt like for me. This was such a heartbreak for me. And not having my friends read the book and not being accepted by agents, and then confronting these people that they did not have enough self-confidence, let's call it that. They didn't have enough self-confidence to stand in front of someone like me who is such a dreamer and ambitious and driven, and that has wildly unrealistic dreams that I'm totally okay with living in delusion. Like, I'm like, yeah, of course I'm gonna make the New York Times bestseller list. And I'm over here like rejected multiple times by agents, but that still will happen, and I know it will happen. But when I've shared those dreams with other people before in the past, they did not have the confidence to stand in front of me and validate my dreams. So what they did was they told me that I was terrible at what I'm great at. And I don't know if you met people along the way in your path like that. I feel like that's maybe a relatable experience, where if you do have something that's super cool, it is often really hard for the people in your life to accept your wildly big dreams. I don't know why that is. Like, I feel like for me, my space here and my posting and all of you have been so incredibly supportive. Like, I'm convinced that if I just wrote like a couple lines on a few post-it notes and sold that as a self-publishing book, y'all would make that a bestseller. Like, you guys have been so incredibly supportive. I'm getting DMs every day saying, please, I want to buy this book. I cannot wait to buy this. And this is like, oh my God, like the biggest hug of Suprens. You're my Suprens. The biggest hug of friends support group. Suprens. Wow, that's a new one. We'll add that to the Julie Dictionary. Biggest hug of a friend support group that I never had. Because my friends didn't even read the book that I wrote the first time. And y'all are like, I will literally, like, I will be outside the doors to buy your book when it drops. Like, and that is so sweet. And like, I just cannot thank you enough for that support, because I genuinely have not had that much of it in my real world. It's actually been hard, I think, for people to have seen the behind the scenes of what has happened in my life and them genuinely have belief that I can be something great in this world. And that's so sad. Like, that's so sad. Like, I don't struggle with that at all. Like, I feel like if I see somebody, like, I see the greatness in them, and I want to be a mirror that's like, look at how incredible you are. Like, no, like, you need to believe in yourself. Like, I see you, like, I can see who you are, and I can see all these different great things about you. And I feel like the people in my life have really struggled with their own suffering, that they have not been able to like wipe the lenses of their glasses to be able to see clearly. And I feel like it is important that you spend some time in your own personal world, your own personal work, in order to be able to support other people's dreams as well. And sometimes when we're on our path to our dreams and we have so much grief and suffering, that can turn into other people wanting to pop our balloons because they're so sad that they didn't have the courage to show up in their own life. So I have a lot of empathy. I have a lot of empathy for people suffering and struggling. I just don't excuse it anymore when they try and bring me down. That is the difference. I don't excuse people's suffering in the way that they express it to harm me in my life anymore. I understand it, but I have removed myself from people that are not able to be wildly supportive, because when you do have big dreams, your road is already like lined with the grief of the past. You don't need other people, like actual voices, to come in and be your critic, because there's already a line of disappointment and sadness that is there. And that brings us to today of like, I wish so desperately that I could always come online with, guys, guess what? Everything is amazing and perfect. But I realized today in processing the grief of having 3 agents that I spent time putting together the queries, writing the emails, putting together summaries, outlines, like all these pieces of paper that support your book. I cannot even tell you. There are 9 pieces of paper. And I call them pieces of paper because I'm mad at them. Okay? I am mad that in order to get a book to an agent, you have to write outside of your writing style. Like my writing style is comedic, but it's also deep, and there's a lot of metaphors, and it's very rich and vibrant. There's lots of side quests, but in the best way that support the main story. But these pieces of paper are like the most bland. I'm like, I write in color and you want me to do graphite pencil drawing of these pieces of paper, and I hate them, and I have complained every single step of the way because I absolutely hate them and I hated doing it, and it's part of the process though. Sometimes you have to do things you don't like, and there's inner me and younger version of me like, I don't like doing this. But to spend all that time putting together these supporting documents to the main character and have them say no. So I'm actually going to read you today, right now, the emails that I got back, because what is important to me is I've realized that part of my struggle in being who I am and being free to be who I am and like put myself out there and make fun of videos, all this stuff, is that there are a lot of people that just show up with the pretty end of the story, and there's no middle, there's no journey at all. Like these girlies are out here like, oh my god, you guys, like I just launched like a new skincare, and I'm like, we didn't even know you were working on that. Like, why didn't we hear like the struggles and the doubt and all these things? And a lot of the girlies show up online of like, I never had one doubt. Like, I just knew. And I'm like, no, girl, you did not. I know you didn't. I know that you upset sometimes. And I know that the journey was not beautiful black asphalt smoothly. Okay, I know that you had to like deal with all the grief of your path and all the little versions of you and all the little artist versions of you that are sad and all the other versions of you that got rejected. Why do we get to see that story? No, we just get to see the glossy new skincare, and they're like, oh my god, you guys, like this was so easy. It's not easy. Okay, we know it's not easy, but you're telling us it is. And so the people that have struggled and that have bumps in their road and grief lining their pathway, it's not the yellow brick road over here, okay? It's Ghost from Christmas Haunting Past, except there's no Santa. Oh, I'm upset about it. So I realize that part of my frustration and my feelings being my teachers are telling me of what my role is going to be in the online world. And that is telling you the truth and telling you the whole story. Because the truth is often the most funny, and the truth is also the most like compelling. Because when we tell the truth, we can see ourselves in each other's stories, and I think that's really beautiful. And I feel like there's been this huge disconnect of us being able to see each other in each other's stories because we only show up online when it's all done. We don't share the emails, the email rejects from the agents. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I have sent it to 21 agents, and I'm not going to say the agency, although I might say their names. We'll see. This first rejection letter I'm upset about because Bestie did not even like address me in the email. Okay, it starts off like this. Sorry. Ma'am, my name is Julie Story. Remember it because you're gonna see me on that New York Times bestseller list, and it might be just above some of the books that you represent. Anyway, it says sorry, not even a comma. Okay, do you know how long that I took to make sure that my query letters, when you start sending out queries and manuscripts, one of the things that like you learn is like agents are super sticklers about like fine-tuning stuff. So the way that I like lamented over like, is this comma going there? Like all like Oxford commas where? Like I was like trying so hard, and I am not good at that. Okay, I will tell you right now, I am great at prop hunting. I am not great at seeing, was there supposed to be a comma? And I'm also not great at spelling. Okay, it's just not my lane. You know, it's like kind of like math. Like I've moved on from it. Don't bring it up. I feel like that is spelling for me, and I often just Google how to spell things. And if my like search was ever brought up in the court of law, it'd be like, why is like restaurant and Wednesday just search constellations? Because there are some words that my brain literally will not, it refuses to remember how to spell it. Like I have seen those memes that are like, I'm a confident girly, but like I still have to go Wednesday. That's me. Okay, I'm a confident girly, but I still struggle a lot. Write that down. So she says, sorry, but I'm simply not the right agent for this project. Should I do a voice? I feel like I should do a voice. My list has always been limited to academic writing about their own research. Good luck to you. Now, so see, this is where we can give a little like shrug of understanding. This bestie does not represent comedic memoirs, okay? She is in fact not a good fit. And that is life, isn't it? You can find a great pair of pants on the hanger, but when you have to fight for your life to suck in to put them on, and they're not doing what they need to, they're not giving what they need to give, it's okay for you to move on. So it's okay that I wasn't a good fit for her. And you know what? I don't need to be a good fit for all 21. In my delusional brain, did I think that all 21 were going to be like, oh my God, girl, wow, you are the one that I was looking for. And honestly, that delusion did not start now. No, let's have an honest conversation. I used to believe that I was going to be scouted as a child, just walking around. I know this could be shocking or not to you, but that is what I genuinely believed. I do not know where I got that, except for I watched one movie where this girl was scouted. It's called Life with Mikey. I love that movie when I was little. I think about that movie on a regular basis because of one particular scene. But anyway, she was scouted because she was pickpocketing and then put on a performance about why she's pickpocketing, and this agent saw her and was like, oh my God, girl, you'd be perfect for acting in movies. And I was like, this was gonna happen to me. But I really did think with my very, very questionable bob that I decided to get when I was 10, like I literally went Lord Farquaad so hard. And I used to wear my pants too high, and then I was really self-conscious about what my body looked like. So I would wear XXL like shirts, like, and I was a tiny human. Like I'm 5'2" now. So like I was a very short human. So I just was swimming in clothes. And I'm like, yeah, with that shirt tucked in, I tucked it in to my high shorts. Okay. And I was like, this is it. How could I not end up on the Disney show walking around looking like this? So I thought that I was going to be scouted out of nowhere. Okay. That's a level of delusion I still live in. All right, I'm going to be on New York Times bestseller list. I am probably at some point going to be best friends with Mindy Kaling. I am convinced that Mindy Kaling and we think so similar. And I know this because in reading her books, which I'm reading another one right now, and the way that she writes, I have never in my life met someone else that says sentences that I have literally thought in my brain that are so, I call it unhinged. My husband says I use that word like not. He doesn't say I use it not correctly. I just describe myself as unhinged, and he says I'm not unhinged. I don't know. Sound off in the comments. Anyway, so my second rejection letter. Dear Julie, comma. We love a comma moment, okay? These are actually like thoughtfully done, although I am convinced they didn't even read my sample chapters. I sent them 3 sample chapters, a query, but every single agent wants something different. And this is part of my frustration. Here's another rant for you. The agents often, I'm not saying all of them, okay? There are some that in their professional photos, it is in fact just them taking a selfie with a phone where the phone shadow is blocking half their face. And then on the website, it will read very much like, I don't think you're going to be a good writer. I don't even know why you tried. I barely read anything that comes to me, and I only take the best. And it is a perplexing mental gymnastics a little bit. I'm doing a little bit of Simone Biling down on the I mean that in the most respectful way. She's amazing and iconic, and I love her. But I'm doing triple backflips, somersaults in my brain to go, ma'am, you have a selfie as your professional pic, and you're like, I don't even want to see anything that you're going to give me. Now, it is very, very common to see this. I was like shocked. I'm shocked. But anyway, this one was not. They were kind. They said, thank you for sending us your query, having considered it carefully. Just the query. They won't even open the sample chapters. And the query, for those of you who don't know, I want you to imagine the hardest thing for me to write ever, and that's what a query is. It is essentially like, hey, You don't know me. It's like a cover letter, which, hate those two. It is like, hey, you've never met me. You have no idea who I am. You have no idea how I write. But I'm going to try and convey to you my voice and style of writing that is not a story, and it's not in the memoir at all. It's just a piece of paper that I've had to wrestle with for hours to try and get to sound kind of like my writing, but convey to you. The point of the query is to convey to them what the book is, and essentially like why the book would matter, but not in that way. It's why the book would matter, but dress it up in like a crop top. Like, it's just like hard. I've struggled so much with this. If I never have to write a query again, never have to do this process again, I will be elated. You'll never stop hearing me stop talking about it because I hate it so badly. I cannot express to you. I would rather write a whole other book than to write another query. Like, it is, you could hear the struggle. You could hear the angst in my voice. And a lot of writers, I think, probably don't struggle as much as I do. But you know what? A lot of other people don't struggle as much as I do, just generally getting through life. So here we are. This is the path, though. This is on the path of my grief and frustration, okay? You are on the road with me. You're on the road of grief because they said, having considered carefully, we've decided that we are not a good fit for your project, so we're going to pass it this time. Again, it is a rejection. It's also a rejection of like, you don't go here. And I might not. I am not for everyone, okay? Which then they continue on and say taste and specializations vary widely from agent to agent, which is true, right? We all have that one friend that is no longer our friend for specific reasons, and we as people have varying tastes, right? Have you ever come across someone maybe posting about their partner online, and you do realize you have different tastes because they are tolerating things in a partner that you would never? That's what we're doing here. Okay, we are recognizing we all have different tastes, but it's still rejection because I thought there'd be no more disappointment on this road of creativity. I realized that in listening to other dreamers, particularly actresses on the round table talks on YouTube. I love those. I love listening to people talk about things that they love to do. I learned so much from people doing that. But in this roundtable discussion, a lot of these actresses were talking about what it feels like to want a role and to work really hard for it and to not be chosen for it because it's not the right fit, and how that is part of the experience. So if you have something that you are wanting to do or dreaming of doing, and it has felt like there is disappointment on that road, what I want you to remember is that you can do hard things and that you have capacity to sit with those versions of yourself and let them be seen and heard and known, and you have enough capacity and courage to get up and keep going. And this is the hard part that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the absolute courage and grit and muscles and strength that it takes to have your heart broken and get up and keep going. And what I realized in this today of having these 3 rejection letters, which all 3 of these agents, I wrote them yesterday. And most agents take 6 weeks, sometimes take 90 days to even consider your query. So I realized today in processing this is that I have the emotional capacity to hold space for myself and understand that it is really courageous to even get rejection letters like this, because a lot of people haven't shown up to their dreams yet. And this is me showing up to my dreams of being a writer and being able to write and share comedically and share perspectives and metaphors and silliness and give people a break from the chaos of life, but also give them someone that will sit next to them in the grief of life, and all of it matters. And that I've struggled with, how do I reconcile that? Because it sounds like 2 different worlds. Like, one of them's comedy, one of them's grief, and they're gonna get along, sure, and they're fighting constantly. But that is me. That is very much a part of the way that I've experienced life. So we're just gonna lean into that because maybe that's what you're here for and you like that. So cool, because that's what I've got. But a lot of people haven't had the courage to show up to their dreams, and a lot of people talk about their dreams. And there's something really different about knowing that you want to do something and actually taking the steps to doing it. And there's no shame if you haven't done that yet. I wanted to write again and wanted to finish this book for a long time. I started this book in 2016. 9 years ago, I started this book, and it has sat and it has marinated, and I've gotten better as a writer, and I've learned about myself more as a woman, and I went through the rain season, and I went through the wilt season, and I've raised kids. My kids are teenagers now. My daughter's an adult and my son is 17. So I almost have adult kids. So I'm a different woman than I was 10 years ago. And I just want to say that there's no like timeline at all, and I kind of felt like I was always behind because I'm like, I started this book, it's not done yet, when am I supposed to do it, and all these things. But I realized that there's no way that I could have written the way that I do now back then, especially when my kids were younger. I mean, 9 years ago, I had a completely different life. My kids were younger, they needed me more. I wasn't able to kind of do some of the things I am now simply because they're young, and that's normal. And you know, a lot of people will show up to coaching and the gurus about how to reach your dreams and all these things. This is what you have to do. You have to, if you want to write a book, you need to write 1,500 words a day and blah, blah, blah. For some people that works. For me, I wrote an entire memoir in 30 days with absolutely no plan, with no outline, with no, you have to write this much. The book was ready to be written. And I had the emotional capacity to do it. And so if you have those dreams that are inside of you, like, don't let shame come in and say it's too late or you should have or whatever. Like, give yourself a completely blank canvas and let yourself create in a way that feels right for you. There's no right way. And this is my other frustration with the online, especially growing the audience that I have. Everybody wants to tell you how to do it so that they can sell you the course so they can make money. And that doesn't mean you can't learn something from people who've made courses. Like, I've tried to make courses before. There's a lot of things that you can put into a course that are great. But a lot of times what you don't realize is that there are things that these course creators are doing that you wouldn't know unless you're in the business world. So, for example, I've seen a lot of people teach classes on how to grow your following, but what they don't tell you is that they're spending $50,000 in marketing on Facebook and on Instagram in order to market the course. And that course is naturally attracting followers. So a lot of their followers, I know I'm really pulling back the curtain on this, a lot of those followers are actually because they spent $50,000 a month on Facebook ads to sell their course, and people see the course and like, oh my God, I want to buy the course, or I'm interested in the course, or oh my goodness, this is somebody that teaches about how to grow on social media, I'm going to follow them. So their followers are actually, I'm not going to say paid for, but they are putting dollars towards it. It's not an organic growth, but it looks like it. If you just stumble across their Instagram and you didn't know that, and you saw that they have 1 million plus followers and they teach you how to grow on social media, you're like, oh my God, they got 1 million plus followers. I could do that too, but they're not telling you the full story. Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of behind the scenes that I wish I had known. I wish I had people telling honestly, like, this is what really goes on behind the curtain. Like, we don't need to be the Wizard of Oz. Like, we don't need to do that. We could just say the truth, and the truth is cooler, and the truth we get to learn from, and it feels genuine. But anyway, here's my last one. Dear Julie, which I love a comma. You know I love that now. Thank you for sending me the query levy. Wow, query levy. I do love Dan Levy. That's another somebody that I feel like I could be friends with him. Mindy Kaling, Dan Levy, and Taylor Swift. Those three are such incredible writers. Like, I just have so much respect for the way, what they do with words. And Dan Levy, obviously, Mindy Kaling are different from Taylor Swift in terms of like her writing ability. But anyway, while the project is not the right wow. I can read and write, I promise you. While the project is not the right fit for my list at this time, I appreciate you thinking of me. I'm wishing you the best of luck finding representation and the right agent and good fortune in your writing career. We love that. She says sincerely, and she used a comment. See, that feels so much better, doesn't it? That feels like, it feels like I think that you're great, but you're not great for me. And I love a soft letdown. You know, like, it doesn't need to be harsh. Like I said, I already have a road of struggle before me. I don't need someone else being harsh. So the rejection and moving through the rejection, I am dressing it up in outfits and making it look a little bit more joyful than what it actually is. It's hard. It feels really hard. It feels like there are parts of me that are screaming. There feels like there's parts of me that want to quit. There's parts of me that feel like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to do this again. I don't want to experience this pain. But there's also a part of me that has learned in growing to this point that no's are part of the process. It just is, and there's no other path. There's no way around it. And every person that you've seen succeed, that you admire, or that is in a place in their career that has, um, succeeded in their dreams, it is not a smooth road. It is confronting all of these things, all the voices, all the pain, all the frustration, all the grief. And that can feel so heavy when you feel like you're the only one doing it. And that is just not the truth. You are not the only one experiencing grief and loss and frustration or letdown or rejection. And this is a part of the path. And I was talking to Andre about it this morning, which, by the way, thank you guys so much for going over and supporting his Instagram. My goodness, you guys blew up his Instagram to, I think, 12,000 of you in 24 hours went over and supported him on behalf of him doing his dream, which is telling stories through genealogy. But I was talking to Andre this morning about what it feels like to be on the road that I have had past rejection, and it has felt like other people in their careers get so easily what has taken me fight to get and work to get. And it often feels like I have been Cinderella, and I came downstairs in my pretty pink dress and I just got shredded by the ugly stepsisters of the world. And so I feel like I'm the girl crying in the courtyard, looking at everyone at the ball and wondering, when will it ever be my time? Like, when will it be easy? When will it happen for me? When will it feel magical? And in so many ways, you guys have been the fairy godmother for me in showing up and, giving me permission to play and be ridiculous and tell stories and go on long podcast rants about ridiculous things, but also have so much heart and humor, high-fiving in it. And then I have this other part that realizes that all along I've been the fairy godmother, and that instead of feeling like I'm waiting for someone to choose me, my life story really is that I decided to choose myself. And in so many ways, we are our own fairy godmothers, and we get to decide to stand up and take that breath and find the glimmers in our life, which I've toyed around with trying to figure out, what do I call you as a collective you? A lot of people have names for their fans because it feels so weird to call you guys fans. You guys feel like the friend group that I never had, like I said. I toyed around with, like, maybe I call you guys my glimmers, because glimmer is the opposite of trigger. So trigger is you have something bad happen and your body remembers the bad things, and so you feel the intense emotional hard things. But a glimmer is the opposite, where it is that spark of joy that gives you that like exciting feeling and that like hopeful joy and that hope and that beautiful like excitement. And you guys feel so much like my glimmers. Like, you guys are my glimmers. You guys have helped me not only find myself in times where I felt lost, but you also gave me permission to be wildly, insanely, authentically myself, where I didn't have to dress up like an Instagram model to be worthy. I could show up with a bike seat and go, this is whatever we decide it is. So leave a comment what you'd like to be called. I've toyed around with, like, my last name is Stories. I could call you guys something that has to do with stories, but you guys have been just that breath of encouragement when I needed it. A lot of people have called me their breath of fresh air, and that is what I've been called my whole life. Like, I'm an encourager, I'm a supporter, I'm a cheerleader, I'm a hype girl, and a lot of people say that I'm like a breath of fresh air. And you guys have been a breath of fresh air for me. So there's going to be a whole chapter in the memoir that is dedicated to you, like a love letter from me to you. And I really want you to sit in it and read it and feel it, because the way that you have significantly impacted my life will never be taken for granted. The only reason that I'm even able to do some of the things I'm able to do now is because you believed in me when I was struggling to believe in myself. So I cannot thank you enough. I will always be thanking you. And it just means the world to me that you're here. So thank you for listening and sitting in the disappointment, the discouragement, and the journey of grief with me. Also, if you could like and subscribe and leave a comment, it means the world to me. It helps me continue to show up and make videos like this, because sometimes I feel like if I'm making something and it feels silly in my brain and I'm overthinking it when you guys are like, no, we like it, like it. I'm like, okay, good, because I feel like I'm crazy and I feel like ridiculous sometimes and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. So when you guys are like, hey, no, we like this, it's like, okay, good. Even if just one person likes it, then I'm good. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Can't wait to talk again soon. And yeah, I'll see you later. Okay, love you. Bye.